Hi, Michael here. Welcome to the February 20 update. It's been 14, maybe 15 days ago since the last update, and there is a sad but very good reason for that, which actually has resulted in the fact that I've been neglecting updating my data. The reason why I've done that is not out of choice, but about 15 days ago, I've lost my cell phone. And as these days our dependencies on those machines are huge, in my case, I need my cell phone to get into each and every bank account I have worldwide, um, because there's a soft key generated on there, and you can imagine if you have to restore bank accounts at the other side of the world, that takes a while. That is not the case for my brokerage account, which is local here in Belgium. But still, the first 3 days, you're still hoping you're going to find back your phone. And then you buy another one, and then you start restoring all these accesses, which then seems not to be so easy as you thought. And in the end, it takes you 2 weeks to be back online. Now, having experienced this, I thought it might be a good idea to actually see what is the result if you just neglect your watch list for 2 weeks and what happens. If we look here at the screen on the top, you see the result of the neglect. So this is what I found today when I had access again. And in the bottom, we see the result of the cleanup, so to speak. Now, an obvious thing that you will see, obviously, is the aging of the records in the file. I've been able to update quite a bit, but as you can see, there's still some old transactions in there. And despite that, despite the update of mainly the past 2 weeks, and not taking into account the ones that are older, almost 1 month, and that I still need to do, you can see the obvious impact here on the various categories. Before the cleanup, the file expects to have 32 stocks in the sweet spot, while after cleanup, that's only 7. And also, if you look at the sweet spot itself, and that's actually also something new that I've built. You may remember that in this bottom right corner here, we used to have the flags showing if the respective stock exchanges were open or not. I've built this additional overview here so that we can see here in first glance on the dashboard which are the records in the sweet spot, the top 6 actually. And then if we want to know more detail, we can go into the Excel file. But this I think looks a bit more neat and more clean. And when you don't have so much time, it gives much more information than in the previous dashboard. Obviously, the top movers have changed. Last Friday, because we're talking about last Friday, being on Monday, February 20. These are the US data from last Friday. We see that we had quite a bit of impressive movers down there. EOS Energy with almost a 30% increase in 1 day, which is nice for the people who have that in their portfolio. Congratulations with that. Now, what is my lesson learned here? Obviously, if you depend so much on your cell phone and you have only one, you need to make sure that you have some backups. In my case, it's probably going to be a second cell phone. Just duplicate all the soft keys that I have, so that it doesn't take 2 weeks to be back online if this would happen again someday. So this is the impact of not being able to work for 2 weeks on this. Obviously, I could have updated the files, and I've been doing that a little bit manually based on non-paid sources. Obviously, if you got 650 plus stocks in a watch list, there's only so much you can do in a day. And the second thing is I was a bit reluctant mixing sources. I'm not saying that my brokerage account with the data that I get in the subscription is better than the ones that I would find for free online. But conceptually, the fact of mixing those different viewpoints, I was a bit reluctant in doing that. So I'd rather wait it. And fortunately, the past 2 weeks have not been negative because I could not buy and I could not sell. Imagine that if we were in a downward market and I had to sell, I was not able to. Actually, I did a quick check, and over the past 10 days, my portfolio has increased with almost 1%, 70% of 1% actually. Which, if you would again compound that over a year, we're looking at 27 percent um, profit. We'll have a look by the end of the month. I'll have a look where we were on January 1 and where we will be on the end of February, because I'm still expecting two transactions to be able to do. But I would not be surprised if the current prognosis for 2023 is that we would end up in the area around 25% profits. But we'll see that when we get there. Um, the markets this morning, everything looked very positive. All the markets were predicted to open in the green, and they did. But around noon, the enthusiasm turned a bit sour. And obviously, it's easy to become enthusiastic, but it's also easy to be aware of what's really going on. I think what killed the atmosphere a little bit over the weekend is the suspicion that China may start delivering weapons to Russia. That is one thing, and I see here North Korea without an H, who have again been launching missiles towards the Sea of Japan. Fortunately, this is for them only a defensive move, so let's try not to imagine what they would be doing if this would not be defensive. This morning again, also based on the numbers in France, inflation fear in Europe is not yet entirely gone. Um, it will never go away. But if we look at the strong performances of the companies and the underlying macroeconomic numbers, we see still very strong markets. 6 weeks in the new year, we are still seeing very strong markets. Now, the dashboard as it is right now, updated and well almost. We see that the oldest records here are of the beginning of this month, February 2, which is 18 days ago. So I need to continue doing these updates, and I will. But I'm already happy with the things that we've done. 7 stocks in the sweet spot. Here we see the top 6 of them with spreads ranging from just over 10% up to 14.92. We'll go to the Excel file, the watch list later for the record to see what is number 7 here. As you can see here, there's still 294 records, which represent these here that still need to be updated almost manually. But I'm sure that over the next couple of days we'll be doing a nice catch up. This I find interesting here. 28 stocks with a recommendation of accumulate or buy, who have recently just again broken their first resistance, so they could be promising, and we'll be having a look there as well. And the last thing that I'm really happy about is we see the continued trend here of this distribution that is changing. I remind you, when we started out, we used to have about 20% of the stocks with a rating of reduce or sell, about 20% with a rating of accumulate or buy, and all the rest, the 60%, were in with a rating of hold. And we've seen that shifting over the past period towards more and more records with a rating of accumulate or buy, mostly at the expense of the reduce ones. Although some of these reduce ones have also gone into the pile of records, the stocks with the rating of hold. For the record, let's have a look here. This is one that has crept up, which has not been updated by me today. Repligen with a spread of 11.62%. Actually, the lowest one with spread above 10% is Darling Ingredients, just over 11. And like we've seen in the dashboard, Evolent Health with a spread of 14.92. And I remind you, my definition, the sweet spot are those stocks with a rating of accumulate or buy and with a spread of over 10%. And this spread is, for me, the price between the current price and the first resistance. So we're talking about the difference between this here, and I'm not saying that these stocks here are bad stocks or not important. I'm also not saying that these are better. This is just the rules by which I play for myself. Regular followers of the channel will also know that some of these records have an extra tag here in green, while the others have not. There's no emotion about that. It just means that technical analysis shows that the ones that I've given a tag here in green, we could expect a technical catch-up on the very short term, which means that you need to keep an eye on them very regularly, because that run may be over before you even noticed it. And that's why it's also important to update your data every day. You can live, I guess, with 1 day of skipping, but we've seen that once you start skipping this for a week or more, in my case over 10 days, it really has a negative impact. Good to be back. We'll be back with an update, of course, tomorrow, and we'll keep on doing our best to do that every day. As said, keep on watching in the upcoming week, because I'm expecting 2 sell transactions to complete within the next week. I'll make on March 1, I'll make an update where we do a review of, again, all the transactions of January and February. There's no losses yet at this moment, but that may change. And also we'll do a calculation of our performance, our profits between January 1 and March 1. And obviously you cannot use that as a prognosis for the entire 2023. But if it looks good, it will feel good, and it'll be nice to fantasize about that. And that's exactly what I will do. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe. I've got 11 subscribers by now. Of course, majority are friends and family. I can really use the views, and I can really use the subscriptions, because as I said, it's ambitious, but I want to have 1 million subscribers on this channel. Thank you very much, and be in touch again tomorrow.